Okay, I'm gonna try this.
Do we push a button?
Oh, it's already recorded.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
But you're not on there.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming in today. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. As you know, my name is Christina, and you are Jane. And Jane, you know Ken. We
Yes.
both know each other, all right? And are
Mhm.
we comfortable addressing each other by our first names?
You bet.
Yes, of course.
All right. Okay, so we're just going to kind of talk through some of the issues that you are having regarding your roommate situation.
Okay.
And I will give you each an opportunity to kind of tell your side of the story. We'll see what type of action plan we can come up with, and then hopefully we will be able to get you both to be able to move forward and be in a happier living situation. All right, so my role is going to be to mediate, just to make sure that we are staying on topic and that everyone plays nice. You will each have your opportunity, like I said, to tell your side of the story. I do ask that when the other person is talking that you remain quiet, no interrupting, because you both have the opportunity to speak. So there's no need to have to try and argue during that time or speak over somebody, okay?
Okay.
We'll try.
Okay. So Jane, I'm going to have you go first if you would like to
Okay.
tell us in your words what is going on.
Okay. Well, Ken and I have been friends. Well, we met our freshman year and got along pretty well, and but now this year we made arrangement. We tried working it out to share an apartment off campus. Just thought we might like the freedom of being away from the dorm rooms. So, but things aren't working out too well.
Okay.
And I feel that I should be able to break my part of the lease and move out, because
Okay.
it's not working.
Okay, so you do have a lease agreement that you have both signed for this, is it for this school year?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, but, our relationship has kind of declined.
Okay.
Ken doesn't respect me anymore, and our friendship has definitely deteriorated. Kind of an example, 2 weeks ago, Ken leaves me this nasty note, just taped to the front door. So I come back and I see it says, "Responsibility means paying the bills on time."
Mhm.
I kind of resent that. I don't know, I don't think that I necessarily need a nasty gram left for me.
Okay.
So we're maybe not on the best of speaking terms right now, but I didn't appreciate that. Over last weekend, well, I maybe should back up a little bit. I spend quite a bit of time at my boyfriend's place.
Okay.
I've have developed a really great relationship with with Dave, and so I am there a lot. I'm not at the apartment as much as I used to be, but I did come home back to my apartment that I'm paying for half of, and find a strange person sleeping in my bed.
Okay.
So when I confronted Ken about this, he explained to me it was somebody visiting him from Denver and had too much to drink and figured that it was just okay to use my room for this person to sleep it off. And, just figured it wasn't, Ken said, no big deal because I'm not there that much. Well, I come back and now I can't. But anyway, so that's just pretty much the story of what's going on. It's just not the same that it used to be, and there's a lot of friction, and it's not a comfortable place to come back to anymore anyway.
Okay.
So
just to make sure that I have everything correct, there seems to be a concern with your electric bill.
Yes.
And there's also concern about your own personal space, your room, and how that space is being occupied while you're not in the apartment.
Right.
Are those your two biggest concerns?
Well, they're also, we used to split the costs of the things that we both use, like toilet paper and dishwashing liquid and sink, just things like that Ken's not sharing and taking care of that anymore, so it always seems to be gone, and then so I have to buy it, and then there's some friction there, so it's just, I don't know, I just don't need the conflict in my life. I'm very busy. I work part-time. I'm taking 18 credits this semester. And I've got a boyfriend now. I don't know, it's just starting, and then with Ken leaving me these little nasty notes and some of the other things that we're not agreeing on. It's just more than I'm prepared to handle right now. It's just too much.
Okay. So from your perspective, this is just an additional pressure added on to what already sounds like a stressful semester.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much for telling me your story. I appreciate that. I'm now going to give Ken that same opportunity, okay? All right, Ken, would you like to tell us what's going on?
Sure. Jane hasn't been very responsible lately. She hasn't been paying the bills on time. I got caught with the electric bill, didn't have enough money in my account, so I'm going to end up with a late charge, and that was, to me, that's just totally irresponsible. We've got to share the expenses. I didn't want to move into this apartment in the first place. She talked me into it. I wanted to stay on campus at first, and we were such good friends. I thought, well, this is a good opportunity. we can maintain the friendship. We can be together more and share the apartment. But along with that came the responsibility of making sure that all the bills were paid, and that's been a big issue. So I finally, she's never there. So I finally left a note. I couldn't talk to her. She was gone. She's always at her boyfriend's, and I left a note, and I said, it's responsibility means paying the bills on time, and we didn't make it on time. So she's talking about stress. It's stressing me out too.
Okay. So it sounds like there might be a bit of a communication problem, because Jane is spending an increasing amount of time away from the apartment, that it sounds like you're having a hard time getting a hold of her. Is that
exactly?
Okay.
And that's the reason. George came in from Denver. It's a real good close friend of mine from high school, and he came in from Denver, and we had a little time together drinking, and he got a little too much and was about ready to pass out, and I figured she's not there anyway, so I just let him pass out and sleep in the bed in her room, and she's hardly ever there. So, you know, what the heck, I didn't think it was gonna be a big deal. So, I mean, the communication hasn't been there. We just haven't had, we haven't had the communications we used to. And it's kind of, it's gotten into to the point where I see her for a couple of minutes and she's gone, and I have to pry the money out of her to get all the bills, get our bills paid. I'm not sure exactly what what the point was to move in and share an apartment.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would want
Well,
to share at this point?
you know, I've lost, because I'm here off campus, I've lost a lot of friends that I had on campus in the dorms. We used to do a lot of things together, and now since I'm out off campus, I'm not in the group anymore. So I feel like I'm all by myself out here in this apartment, and it's just not it's not what it was supposed to be. I think it was a bad deal to stick me with the electric bill, all of the electric bill. I don't like to pay late charges.
So, along with your concerns about this electric bill, I'm also hearing that you feel disconnected from campus and some of your relationships that you had on campus. By living on campus last year, you don't feel like you have those same connections.
That's
that
right.
correct?
That is correct. Right. I don't have I don't have the same connections with my friends that I used to, and I spend most of my time trying to take care of the apartment and stuff, and just I've lost that. And it's kind of, I wish I'd never done it. Is what it amounts to.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. Okay. So, let's see, it sounds to me like, well, there's this electric bill that I think we need to address, that is a time-sensitive issue. And let's also maybe take a look at some communication strategies between the two of you, because I know that Ken feels that it's very hard to get some communication. And so the communication that he was using was offensive to you, so let's maybe discuss some communication strategies to alleviate some of those problems.
Sure.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about some other ideas. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. So, let's talk about this first issue about paying the bill on time. Can you write down paying the bill on time, please?
Already got
Okay, thank you. Let's see, I think the second issue is maybe respecting personal space. Is that maybe something that we
Absolutely.
should discuss?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess so.
okay. Let's see, and then communication, I think was our third one. Right. And then we can talk about maybe what we can do to repair the friendship that the two of you went into this apartment with. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, we're gonna start, I think, with the easiest first. And I think that might be the issue with the electric bill. That one is time sensitive.
Right.
And if you don't have electricity in your apartment, that's gonna severely affect both of you, right?
That's for sure.
I should say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true, we'd be bad.
All right, so what can we do to get that electric bill settled?
Well, obviously, money management is probably not one of my priorities, and maybe it should be.
Okay.
It is tough for me, because I have a lot of expenses with school and not a lot of income. That's why I work a part-time job in addition to going to school. So, probably could use some help with budgeting myself, because I do come up a little short sometimes when the bills are ready to be paid, or needs to be paid, so.
Yeah, and that's an issue because the electric bill is in my name, and it affects my credit when I'm late paying it, and it's just, it is something that it bothers me a lot. I have to have the credit when I get out here, because I know there's certain things that I'm gonna wanna do that are gonna require a good credit rating. That's why it bothers me so much.
Okay, so we need to get this electric bill paid, right?
Right.
Okay.
On time.
Okay, and when is considered on time with the electric company?
Well, there's a 7-day grace period, and the bill's usually due on the 7th of the month, every month.
Is that including the grace period?
No, that's the due date, and then
Okay.
there's a grace period.
So, worst case scenario is it's gonna be due on the 14th.
Correct, that's right.
Okay, best case scenario is on the 7th,
Right.
worst case scenario is on the 14th,
Right.
okay,
I don't think it affects your credit. If you're within that grace period, it's okay,
okay,
and that's fine. We were running out of that.
okay. So, Jane, were you aware of these due dates?
It's possible I knew about them, but because the bill doesn't come to me, and it's and with my being in and out so much, and I probably just, it wasn't a priority, and I wasn't concentrating on that in particular. So I have to say that I probably, I probably knew it, but it wasn't something that I really gave high priority to, so.
Okay. So what are maybe some ways that might work best for you to make sure that you remember that the 7th of
Yeah.
each month?
That's a good question. I'm not a very organized person, so, I don't know, maybe if I don't know, get a calendar and mark my pay dates on it, and then the day that I have to get money to Kim for my share of the bill, and budget myself a little better, and be sure that what I should do is just give him, my 2 pay periods that I have in that month, maybe give him half of what I think it's gonna be, and within, so that's what I guess I should probably start doing.
Okay. Now, is that a realistic solution for you?
Yeah, it probably would be, because I think that's my problem, is that I don't budget or don't allow for the full amount. When it comes time I have to pay him, I can't quite come up with all of it.
Okay.
So I guess maybe that would be one thing I could do, is just give him half with each paycheck.
Okay.
I have to be a little complicit in some of this too, because I've been kind of neglectful a couple of times too, because I haven't paid for a run out of toilet paper, and didn't go to the store and get new fresh rolls, and so she has had some of the burden of that, some of the expenses from that. So that's something that I'm guilty of too. So.
Yeah, that definitely, if I'm buying that kind of stuff, then we gotta get that figured out too.
Because we've tried to share it
That.
for the most part. She's been gone so much, there's hardly any time to talk to her though. That's the biggest issue.
And we're gonna get to some of
No,
those
okay,
communication problems, but I wanna make sure that you have electricity when you go home today.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Jane, you are going to take a little bit of money from each of your paychecks every month, and you're going to set that aside
Yeah.
to contribute your part of the electric bill.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Ken, are you comfortable with that solution to the problem with the electricity?
Probably, as long as I get the money, as long as she gives the money to me that she sets aside, then, because if, I don't know, if she puts it
No,
in
I'll
her
do that.
desk, if
I'll
she
do
puts it in
that.
her
I'll put it-
desk and
Put
forgets
it in
about
an
it.
envelope with your name on it.
All right,
How's
well,
that?
maybe we should come up with how that money is going to be transferred from
Yeah.
person to person.
Yeah.
So, what is the best way to give that money to Ken?
Well, for me, I literally, probably when I get my paycheck, I would just get the cash,
Okay.
actual cash money, put it in an envelope and give it to him. So we would have to, I don't know if we have to set a time or that we can actually meet together and do that, or if I can leave it in your room or whatever.
That's
Something with
probably
your name on
fine,
it.
that's probably fine. Yeah.
Could you maybe stick it on his door to his room?
Sure.
Sure, that would work.
Stick it
Tape-
in an envelope and put it on
Tape
the
it
door?
on the front, tape it on the door of
Sure.
your
Of
room.
his room?
Okay.
Yeah,
Is
I
that,
think I could probably do that.
yeah.
are we okay?
Sure,
with
just
that?
don't use
Okay.
duct tape. Take the paint off and we'll lose our deposit.
All right, I'll put it on the doorknob.
There
How's
you go,
that?
that's good.
Alright,
Okay.
or we can just tuck it in if we,
There
Or
you
just
go.
tuck it in.
into the
Yeah,
door frame, there we
something
go.
like
All
that.
right, we'll get
Okay,
it, I'll get it.
all right, that's fine.
Alright,
Alright.
so we know when that money is coming, we know when the bill is due,
Right,
and we also know how that money is going to be given from Jane to Ken.
right,
Alright,
okay.
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 So now let's talk about, communication between the two of you, okay? You're not spending a lot of time at the apartment,
No.
and so Ken feels like it's difficult to get a hold of you when needed. Leaving notes, obviously you took some offense to that.
I did.
So maybe let's
Well,
come up.
especially because it's on the front door
Okay,
for everyone to see.
okay,
That's a little much.
okay.
Okay.
I will
Let-
be angry, but
What would be a more constructive way for Ken to get a hold of you?
Good question.
I don't have unlimited data or texting on my phone, so that's kind of a touchy thing.
Well, and that kind of adds an extra little. You can't text. You do have my phone number.
Yeah,
My cell
right.
phone number.
Right.
So I don't know why you can't call me on the cell phone.
Yeah. I guess that's the only way to talk to you.
Well, you
It's
can
the way
leave,
to have to
you
do
can leave me a
it.
voicemail,
Yeah,
and
right.
then, I don't know.
Well, okay, what if leaving notes in the apartment is the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, that,
What would be a better way to
Okay.
leave a note?
not the front door,
Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
and maybe not a little nasty gram, but just I think we need to talk. Or I have a situation I need to talk to you about, it's pretty important. Something like a nicer note like that, you know. Make an effort so that I can call you, and maybe to give me a time that's good for you. And we can maybe work that out, or can even maybe try to meet at the apartment and make sure that we're both there at the same time. But if you could leave me a note maybe on my room door rather than the front door.
Yeah, okay.
Ken, do you feel like that's something that you can do?
That could probably work, yeah.
Okay.
That could probably work.
Alright, so if texting or, or Facebooking, if that's not going to work for you, then you are comfortable with leaving notes in the apartment as long as it's done a little differently?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
A little more discreetly.
Okay, all right. Now if there's another situation where Jane might need a reminder about the electric bill,
Mhm.
what would be the best way to go about reminding you?
Well, I mean, it would be okay saying, I know you get paid Friday. Just a reminder that, you had promised to pay half of what the electric bill will be with each of your paychecks. So just something like that maybe, because I am not completely well organized. And if I don't do it when I get my paycheck, it is harder later. So I think I could handle that because I'm not organized.
Okay. And Ken, are you comfortable with these communication strategies?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Just write a note, I can do that.
Okay.
All
I'll try to be a little nicer.
Okay.
right. Okay. And now let's talk about your personal space in the apartment.
Yeah.
Jane is a little concerned that a friend of yours stayed the night in her bed while she was not there. So how can we maybe avoid that situation again?
Well, I'm sorry, but she's never there, and I didn't know what else to do. We don't have a sofa that he could have slept on, and so she was hardly around. I just kind of figured she was not going to come in like usual, and it's the only time it's ever happened is that one time.
Okay.
So I don't know. I didn't think it was that big a deal, but it obviously was.
Well, you know what? That's pretty personal place.
Yeah, I know.
Jane, would you have maybe had a different reaction if Ken had called you beforehand and said that he didn't feel comfortable with his friend driving, he's in from out of town? Would it be okay if he stayed in your room? Would that have maybe gotten a different reaction?
Well, certainly a different, at least it would have given me the opportunity to make the decision.
Okay.
And the courtesy of, I know this is your space, but can I use it? Are you gonna be here? Would you be all right with that? I still might have said I'd rather you didn't, but at least that would have shown the respect of my room and my space.
Okay.
So, definitely, that would be worth something. But like I said, I still might say no, because I wouldn't be too keen on some strange guy sleeping in my bed.
Okay.
But
Ken, do you think maybe in the future that you would be able to contact Jane beforehand?
Yeah, probably, and I probably could have done it then. We'd both been drinking. I wasn't thinking too clearly either. I wasn't nearly as bad as he was, but I wasn't thinking quite as clearly, and maybe in another time I would have a little more sense to call and ask first.
Maybe even before you've started drinking, you can give Jane a heads up and say that you have this friend from out of town. You are going to be drinking.
Right.
So that way she is notified. You are still at a point in the evening where
Right.
you can remember to do that.
Right. Yeah, that could probably be okay.
Okay.
I could do that.
Right. Okay. And Jane, are you comfortable with that idea if the situation should arise again?
well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm concerned if he couldn't get hold of me, just so long as he would, maybe offer him your beds.
Oh, well, maybe that's another idea. Would you feel better if Ken was sleeping in your bed as opposed to his friend?
Yes, at least it'd be somebody I know.
Yeah, well, I feel a little funny about that, but yeah, I guess that probably would work too.
But
I wasn't
think
thinking
that-
about that at
I
all.
think that would probably be more agreeable to me than,
Actually, I think probably if it would come up again, I'd probably be more inclined not to even make the offer and figure out something else, some other kind of solution to the problem, because
blankets on the floor.
put something on the floor, right? Get a blow-up mattress or something.
So there
But it doesn't happen, that's the first time it's happened, it's the first time he's come back to visit, and for a long time. I mean, I haven't seen him for probably a year and a half, almost 2 years since we started school. And so, I mean, it was kind of an unusual circumstance to begin with, but I don't think it's gonna happen again. If it does happen, something like that again, I'll probably come up with a different solution than that.
And it sounds like we've come up with a couple of solutions that are fairly acceptable to both of you.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how are you feeling about continuing the rest of this school year with your lease together? Because Jane, I know you had mentioned that you wanted to possibly break your lease.
Well, I was kind of hoping maybe Ken could find another roommate maybe,
Okay.
because it's not just the cost of the apartment and that sort of thing. It's our friendship is strained. I feel he's jealous of my boyfriend,
Jealous of him.
even though we're just friends. I mean, I think just jealous of the fact that I'm not spending as much time at the apartment, and he's also pretty rude to my boyfriend.
Oh.
So we have those kinds of things going on too.
Okay.
So I still wouldn't mind if we find another roommate.
Now, where are you planning on living? Because we're already more than halfway through the fall semester. Do you have a place that you are going to live?
Well, I spend a lot of time at my boyfriend's, so I'm kind of thinking that would be my alternative, is to move in with him.
Okay. But you don't have a solid plan?
No.
Okay.
And I have no idea who I'd find as a roommate right now.
Okay. So it sounds to me like maybe making it through the rest of your lease together is probably going to be the better decision for both of you. You don't necessarily have a solid place, backup plan to move out to.
Right.
And Ken, you don't have anybody to replace
Right.
Jane's portion
I
of
sure can't
of
pay
the
for the
rent.
place by myself, that's right.
No,
So-
I know that.
What do we need to agree on to make sure that you are able to make it to May, to the end of your lease?
Well, if you could just be nicer to my boyfriend, that might help things on my side.
Maybe we ought to get together and have a few beers.
Well, maybe we should. Maybe we should.
That doesn't sound, maybe you could go maybe out of the apartment somewhere kind of neutral, go to Chili's or just have dinner, maybe go bowling afterwards. Get to know each other on a neutral territory.
Right.
Do you think that might
Sure.
help?
That's a thought. I hadn't thought about doing that.
Yeah. That would work.
Okay.
Okay. So we have all of the agreements that we came up with.
You been writing all that down? Got it up there, okay.
So, I just want to remind you both about the confidentiality of this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I am expected to not disclose any of our conversation to anybody.
Good.
But I have the same expectation for both of you. This
Oh, yeah.
doesn't
Okay.
need to be shared with friends or classmates. This is just between the four of us.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
I understand that.
So we've got this copy. We will get you to sign it. Do you feel like we need to have a follow-up meeting in a month or so, maybe after we've gone through a couple of electric bills? Maybe follow up and see how things are going? Do you feel like that might be necessary?
I think that might not be
It
a bad
probably
idea.
wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Probably
Would be a
wouldn't
good
hurt.
idea.
All right, then we will do that. And maybe if we need to renegotiate, reevaluate things, we can do that at that time.
Sounds good.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
And hopefully you will have electricity when you get home today.
We should have.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Christina.
That's great, thanks.
Appreciate it.